Good afternoon. Happy Savage Saturday, keepers of the cash. Gary B, the Casual Comic Guy here, and we are here with Savage Saturday Comic Review, episode 190. And today we're going to do something a little different, as I like to change it up now and then, as you all know. We're not going to review a story today, although I read several that would have been great for today, but there's always future episodes. I was going through rebagging and boarding some books, and I was just struck by how much I love these Solomon Kane books that I have. So I wanted to do a little bit of a showcase. Most of the books have Solomon Kane on the cover. A few do not, but I'm going to show them anyway because they're important to the history of Solomon Kane in publication. And so I think they're worth showing. Basically, though, this is going to be a cover showcase with some great art, some atmospheric art, and I just love the depictions of Kane on these covers. And just one of those characters, a fantastic character, first debuted in literature in 1928 in Weird Tales in the August edition with the story Red Shadows. And just a great character. You know about Conan, you know about Kull, you know about Dark Agnes. Dark Agnes is one of the lesser known. Solomon Kane, lesser known. Bran Mak Morn, lesser known. Of course, the two big ones are Kull and Conan. But all the characters that Robert E. Howard created, and there's so many more, dozens more that he's created throughout his short literary career, but he was so proficient and put out so much. The guy was a machine, and his brain just never stopped. And the stuff that came out was just, at least to me and to a lot of other people, pure gold. I mean, he had some stories that weren't as good as others, obviously, like any author, but he just had so much great stuff out there. It was just hard not to read some of this stuff and not be in wonder. Now, having said that, these are stories written in the 20s and 30s, and in the 30s, and sometimes they're of their time. So you have to take that knowledge in with you when you're reading these stories. And sometimes they hold up well. Sometimes there's cringy parts in them. But overall, there's a strong theme in them and good storytelling. And I love them. So we're going to get to the covers, and now I already put over here the Weird Tales, and we're also, I'm going to put the description of Solomon Kane over there that Robert E. Howard wrote himself in Moon of Skulls, and it's a great description. And you guys have already heard me talk about this guy, this Puritan, late 16th century, early 17th century Puritan. Always had rapiers with him. He had his juju staff by Inlanga, and he always carried a flintlock pistol, sometimes a musket, but he was not adverse to using any weapon within his reach when it was necessary. Solomon Kane, like Conan, like Kull, he's a survivor, like Dark Agnes, and it's this one trait that happens to be in a lot of Robert E. Howard's characters that really draws you into them, their will to survive. And with Solomon Kane, he had a bigger purpose. He could not view, see, hear a wrong without having to try to right that wrong. He was a man of strict morals and strong beliefs, and if he saw a wrong, he considered it his mission to do what he could to right that wrong without fail. Even if it cost him his life, he was going to do what he could to right that wrong. And he could not turn a blind eye on any evil that he witnessed. So that's a little bit about the Solomon Kane character. Definitely a character of chivalry, a character of courage, a character that was obsessive almost to a fault with his views. But when you're reading the stories, it's just such great fun. But let's enough talking. Let's get to the covers. So his first appearance was in comics was in 1973 in Monsters Unleashed, and this is just a great Gray Morrow cover. I'm a sucker for a werewolf, so I love this cover regardless. I would have bought this even if Solomon Kane wasn't in it because I love werewolves, and a great werewolf story. But what an awesome cover. So we'll let you see there, and fantastic cover. Then next we had his second appearance, and this is a Neal Adams cover, really good. Dracula Lives, issue number 3, where Solomon Kane battled Dracula, and the outcome would not be what you think. But you can get this probably for about $20 to $30. So not overly priced. Same with the Monsters Unleashed one. Now, Kull and the Barbarians, this was in 1979, and was it 70? It's 75. This one was 75, and this was the first cover appearance of Solomon Kane. And he also had Kull and Red Sonja on the cover, so you know, nice there. Lucky to have two of them, and a great cover. I actually let's see who I don't remember who did the art on this one, but we'll try to find out for you guys real quick who did the cover. See if it lists inside, because a lot of times in these old magazine formats it told you right inside. Michael Whelan did the cover, and just a fantastic cover. Again, every time you see Solomon Kane, it seems to be on a piece of atmospheric and moody art, and I think that's how it should be. All right, and then in 1979, you had Kull the Destroyer magazine, which, all right, so Bob Larkin cover. Now, why this is important is this had a story that centered on the history of the Juju staff that Solomon Kane carries, the Cane of Solomon, and its mystical properties, its magical properties, its supernatural properties, and why it's so important to Kane. You get to learn a little bit of the history, and you get to see a story where Solomon Kane's actually learning along with the reader, and he's carried this staff because it was a gift from Inlanga, and it's meant a lot to him, even though it's against his beliefs a little bit to have this staff because he's such a Christian, and this has to do with supernatural and spiritual. So it's in contrast to some of his beliefs, but he still carries it because of this great gift from this friend that he met and this adventure that they had. And the staff saves him a lot of times, and it's an important piece of the Solomon Kane history. So I thought that was a really important story, one definitely worth reading. And then we'll get to the covers, and again, this is all before 1990. This is the 70s and 80s covers. And so we have issue number 33 of Marvel Premiere. All right, couple copies of that. And we had a cover here by Howard Chaykin with inks by Klaus Janson and Danny Crespi. Beautiful cover there, very colorful, looks fantastic. Just really nice stuff. So love that cover. All right, and then we're going to go to Marvel Premiere 34, and again, Howard Chaykin cover, but inked by the great John Romita. So cool cover, lucky to have a few of those, and just absolutely fabulous. Now a little more stylized version of Solomon Kane to be sure. Even though these are fun covers, obviously not my favorite depiction of him. He's shown more barbaric here than what he is, even though he does have a barbaric nature about him. Now this next cover is great, and this is by Brett Blevins, and this was from the first 6-issue miniseries of Solomon Kane called The Sword of Solomon Kane. So a great Brett Blevins cover. I got 4 of those bad boys, so nice to have extras. Again, another issue I pick up when I see it, and it's priced well. And none of these are expensive, so if you guys want to read Solomon Kane, it's certainly out there and available. And they even released an omnibus, which you can get on eBay for $75. It's not too bad, and it contains all of what I'm showing you and a bunch of his stories in the Savage Sword of Conan. Now, issue number 2, again, a different artist. This one was Kevin Nowlan. All right, Kevin Nowlan. It's Nowlan or Nolan? Nowlan, I believe it is. But again, another moody piece, really nice. Really enjoy that cover a lot. And then, of course, we have issue 3, and I love this cover. This is the Bill Sienkiewicz cover. All right, and I'm sorry, this series is from 85, 86 as well. So just to give you a little bit of a time stamp on it. Now, I love this cover. I love the way that Sienkiewicz presents him, bursting onto the scene, a very ominous presence, a very, like, overlooking you, very overpowering presence. And a bit of the supernatural in there, and man, it's just a killer cover. And this next cover is going to surprise you guys some, because I bet at first glance, those of you who aren't very familiar with his work are used to a certain style, and this certainly has some of that style in there, but it also differentiates a little bit as well. So I'm going to show you the cover, and how many of you would have guessed that this is a Mike Mignola cover? The creator of Hellboy and all that awesome Hellboy art, and the BPRD, all that great stuff. But Mignola's done some great covers for a lot of things, especially in the Conan series. He did a couple great covers I love. Look at this. Fantastic work by Mignola. Love that cover. Then, of course, we have issue 5. And issue 5 is a cover by Frank Sirocco. And just great. Him beating off a bunch of vampires with the staff as they're ascending to get to him and murder him. And this was a great story where Solomon Kane was helped by a few people in some kind of mystical, magical ways. So, and one man against an army, and it was just a great story. Some awesome brutality in it, and just the peak of this dude's will to survive. Absolutely great story. And last is The Sword of Solomon Kane, issue 6, and this is a Dan Green cover. Not an artist I'm very familiar with. To be honest, this is the only work of his I know. I should probably look up more because this cover is great. Again, another moody piece. And even though all 6 of these covers were by different artists, they all seem to fit the same feel of Solomon Kane, which I can appreciate. I think that speaks to their talent more than anything. But a fantastic cover by Dan Green. But I had to change it up this week. I know I told you I'd read a couple stories, and I was trying to pick which one I was going to do for a Savage Saturday comic review this week. And I decided to put them off because I was having so much fun just looking at the art again on Solomon Kane while I was rebagging and boarding them, that I just wanted to do this cover gallery. I've shown these covers before, but I wanted to go through them again in a Savage Saturday, have them immortalized here, put here for easy consumption, easy to find, and they're just great. I love them. Every time I look at them, they take me back. It dives me back into the stories, and just the great visuals that they gave us, and the great adaptations by Roy Thomas, who just knew how to adapt Robert E. Howard like nobody else. But let me know what you guys think. Have you guys read any of these stories? Do you have any of these issues? And, comment down below. We'll talk about it. But that's it for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. And until next time, keep it casual. Attention all, use channel sponsor Rogue Trader at theroguetraderutah.com and my code KEEPITCASUAL for 10% off your comic cleaning and pressing needs. Remember, when submitting your books to be graded, use a trusted professional.